So in the last video we spoke about Woodstock 99 and its beginnings and the context surrounding it, but now comes the real shit show. Literally. Imagine you're on festival grounds. You're having fun. You ate a burger or something, or you ate something. So you decide to go to the bathroom because you're a normal human being and you want to go to the bathroom after digesting, you know? So you go find the porta potties, and what you find is not only the porta potty, but it's filled with fecal matter. Sewage is not working, and it's 100 degrees weather, so you can smell it from a mile. This was the Woodstock experience, and believe it or not, people still stayed after watching this. Actually, the entrances were pretty expensive, and people couldn't just leave and come in. They had to stay, otherwise they would be rendered invalid, like they couldn't come in again. Some people, of course, seeing this, they decided to just take matters into their own hands and shit in holes on the ground. The last video we got slightly into this, I did mention this, but today we're going to go into the climax of the situation and how it all unfolded. This is CORNEA-SAL, and this is a continuation of the Woodstock 99 video, and it's gonna get ugly. Apart from the fecal matter incident, and just like a lot of fecal matter, if you want to know more about this subject, go see the previous video. But not only that, there was trash everywhere. There were trash cans, but they were scattered really far apart from each other, and anything you could find was actually full to the brim. In the documentary, they actually posted as people were being dirty, and yes, some people were definitely being dirty, but also there had to be more trash cans. So there were a ton of people, and of course, like in the past two festivals, there were people entering without tickets. They could have at least expected something like that to happen and have big like garbage containers rather than just like small trash cans that could get filled so easily. In the documentary, we actually see that one of the people working there decided to take matters into her own hands as well, and she went by handing out garbage bags. And yeah, it makes sense, but also that's not people's job either. There should have been correct installations. It was handled somewhat correctly, not really. And also, keep in mind, these people have no relief from the heat. So not only were they having a horrible time physically because they were eating badly or not at all, having to poop in random places or not do it at all, and again they had to drink very little or nothing at all. It was really hot weather. It was extremely hot. Like I said in the previous video, there were a lot of people who were dehydrated that had to go to the hospital for heat exhaustion. So already just being here and even alone and amidst the people, amidst the crowd, was really dangerous for someone. And even nowadays, you can see some people who they end up feeling bad at concerts in regular conditions. Just imagine how many people passed out in this one, or just honestly, it says it's around 1,000 people, but I definitely believe it was more. I genuinely think they're hiding the numbers, such as a lot of other things. And while this was happening, they were doing press conferences because people wanted to know what was happening, you know? The news had already gotten out by Saturday, the second day, that things were getting wild, they were getting crazy. They were like, this is all under control, everything is going well, and even better than we expected.
How's it going? You look all happy. Things must be going very well.
Well, things are going very nicely. We're about halfway through, and you know, so far so good. The music's been amazing.
Right.
Kids are having a good time. Biggest problem's been a little bit of too warm temperature, but
Right.
Other than that, we're doing great.
It seems so well organized that, and I talked to you out in the field, I snagged you for a moment and said, it seems almost as though you must have immediately started planning after 94. Maybe that's not true by your laugh, Ozzy. But it's so well put together that it seems that way.
I don't know how people reacted really, but for me, it was all super fishy. And the reports of harassment also increased. There were more girls getting groped, and people were just really tuning into their animalistic selves. There were these girls, topless girls, who were standing there, and they were being harassed by groups of men who were just staring at them, just surrounding them. Then, talking about the performances, Kid Rock performed.
Now when we kick this beat in for the last time, I want to see every possible thing flying through the f***ing air, but nothing that can hurt each other. These plastic bottles, let's have some fun, y'all. Are you ready?
Let's get it going, yo! Oh shit! What the fuck?
So people started throwing plastic bottles in the air, and the video is crazy. Throwing everything at the stage, they were throwing it up in the air. And of course, we already mentioned the complete lack of security that this place had, with the security being teenagers. And some of them were being paid, some of them weren't being paid. They were taking bribes, blah blah. Then played Metallica, Rage Against the Machine, and Fatboy Slim, which they aren't talked about a lot, honestly. They were just what you can expect from their performances. Something that also happened was that in Fatboy Slim's performance, there was this band that was in the middle of the crowd. And there was this young girl who got in, a girl that seemed to be around 15 or 16 years old. This guy spoke on an interview. He saw the girl and a guy pulling his pants up, and she seemed to be laying down unconscious. So obviously she was harassed. This is one of the heavier things that happened. We're getting into one of the most important parts of this festival, which was Limp Bizkit's performance of Break Stuff.
How many people here ever woke up one morning and just decided it wasn't one of those days and you're gonna break some shit? Well, this is one of them days, y'all, where everything's fucked up. You just wanna break some shit. You feel me? Let's feel it. It's just one of those days.
As you may or may not know, Fred Durst, the singer of Limp Bizkit, he has been a controversial figure for a long time. He had beef with a lot of people. He was pretty outspoken, and a lot of people hated him or loved him. This doesn't necessarily mean that he was a bad person at all, okay? He was cocky and stuff. I generally do not believe he had serious intent on what was going to happen next. They played Break Stuff, and he was like, you gotta let all that negative energy out.
Time to reach deep down inside. Take all that negative energy. All that negative energy. And let that shit out of your fucking system.
He was doing his job as an artist to incite the crowd. He said he didn't notice that people were crowd surfing on wooden planks, and he did actually crowd surf as well. But these wooden planks, they weren't things that they took to the event. They were things that they had teared out of the venue. So these people were actually breaking stuff. People started breaking the place. There were a lot of people getting hurt at the back. They asked Fred to tell people to calm down. And he said, and I quote, when I asked us to ask you to mellow out a little bit.
Hey, they want to ask us to ask you to mellow out a little bit. They say too many people are getting hurt. Don't let nobody get hurt. But I don't think you should mellow out. Mellowing out? That's what Alanis Morissette just had you motherfuckers do. Birkenstock rock, y'all. This is 1999, motherfucker. Taking Birkenstocks and stick them up your fucking ass.
This led to people, even Jonathan Davis, to blame Limp Bizkit for what happened after that.
Still haven't. We rocked that place that first night, and everybody had fun. The second night, Limp Bizkit it up for everybody. They really did.
I mean, it was wildfire. There were people everywhere. And when we finally went up to play, it was like middle of the day. And we had like the best slot to where the energy would be super high. So we just got up and we played our show.
We walked on stage and it was that wave of people bouncing as far as you could see. Hundreds of thousands of people, and it was the most amazing adrenaline pumping moment that I've ever experienced, and I was so amped and ready to rock, and we just did what we do. You know, it is what it is. It was just me doing my thing, because during our performance I saw people surfing on plywood.
That's some right there, that crowd surfing on the plywood.
I was like, that's amazing. How cool is that? I'm gonna go do it. So I jump down off the stage and I go out in the crowd and I'm telling them to bring the plywood over here, and they're surfing it over, and I get up on it and I'm just start rocking on the plywood. You know, I'm partying with you guys. You know, I want to be out here in the crowd with you. This is amazing. I had no idea there was anything negative going on at all. I don't think they understood that I meant, okay, let's get rid of all that negativity so we can bring positive in. That means start jumping, you know, jumping and singing. It doesn't mean start raping and burning the place down. That's definitely not what I meant. I remember getting off the stage and having some policemen with my manager come around me and say, Fred, I think you kind of incited a riot. They started ripping down buildings and the scaffolding, and that's the plywood you were surfing on. That wasn't from walkways going to the restroom. They were tearing down things, and there's people getting hurt. And I go, I didn't see any of that. Everybody I saw was having an amazing time.
Fred with his like, come on, let's break stuff, that song, him doing that, it just sent it over the top, and that's when all that stuff happened. There was people hurt, people getting beat up, hit, all this craziness. He instigated the whole damn thing. I was right there watching it.
It wasn't a fun Woodstock type love fest. It really turned violent, it turned ugly. It was really a dark moment in music, and instead of stopping the show, Fred Durst stoked the
But I seriously don't think he had bad intentions. You can see that when you're looking out at a sea of people and the stage is 20 feet in the air and you're performing and you're feeling your music, how do they expect to see something bad going on? I completely understand what he's saying, especially because Noodles, the guitarist of The Offspring, said before they got on stage and they saw that it was hard to connect with the audience in a way because they were so far away. There was a huge space between the audience and the people playing because the place was gigantic and there were 200,000 people, even more, that got in there without tickets. So people started rioting after that. There was just a really bad vibe going on in general. This leads us to the climax of Woodstock 99. Following day started out pretty mellow. The people from the festival decided to give away candles for a vigil later at the Red Hot Chili Peppers concert, and this was supposed to signify something against gun violence, and the worst happened. What you're imagining right now, yes, that happened. People lit up the candles, it was all pretty, and it does look pretty shocking on the video. There's a lot of people holding up light. And well, what happened after is that people started burning down the place. They decided that the light wasn't enough and they wanted a bonfire. So people started making sectioned bonfires. It was all topped off by the fact that Red Hot Chili Peppers played a song called Fire that was originally played by Jimi Hendrix back in '69. They closed off with that song in '69. And they wanted to close up with this song as well. And so they continued with the fire. They were warned of a little problem they had. A little problem being that an audio tower had been set on fire. And this when people started to go crazy and everything was basically desecrated. And people started leaving. The gateway to leave was overcrowded with people. The traffic was insane. And a lot of people had already gone away by Saturday because it was already crazy, you know? It went farther than that. What happened on Saturday was already a disaster. Now it was catastrophic. So after people started leaving, people started finding out what actually happened during the festival. They had to call emergency personnel from the outside and the police, and it was absolute chaos. And now, knowing all this and hearing all I had to say about it, then you can probably tell the rioting, everything that happened, was a huge buildup with the hours passed on the festival. But this has always been marketed as if Limp Bizkit had been what caused all this, that people start breaking stuff because of the song. Break stuff. But imagine you're in a place and you're going by looking at disgusting stuff. People being groped. There was SA. There was so much stuff. Maybe you've been holding your bladder for the past 72 hours. Or you had to go at it in a hole or in a corner. That's just dehumanizing and completely uncivilized. Like everything that was transcurring, and also you were burned by the sun, you were dehydrated, you were exhausted. These were the conditions of the people in the festival, with overpriced stuff and wait lines and just horrible sights to behold. And they decided to blame the band that was hired to play a song that they already knew was about breaking stuff. I don't know, so people can say, oh, but why didn't he stop? No, he was hired to do something, he was hired to play. He didn't see anything bad happening. So maybe this video was actually just to defend Limp Bizkit, but I just hate seeing it, because they were used as a scapegoat. That's the only way to describe it. They were a scapegoat. And then Red Hot Chili Peppers also got some backlash for playing Fire, but this was their set list. They didn't just randomly choose to play that one. They already knew the people promoting the event should have known. And Michael Lang, again, he admitted to not even knowing how Korn sounded. They didn't even know what they were like. They just hired popular bands to make profit off them. And it's just disgusting and so unfair to see it being recalled this way when it's so obviously a horribly organized event with obviously commercial profits behind it, which weren't even there because people started tearing down food stalls and they started tearing down everything. They ended up losing more money than they made. Such a massive festival should be taken with the highest regard for security and food and comfort. They're going to be staying 3 days under the scorching sun, and you can't have that amount of people in that condition.
You know, there were some naysayers out there, and they said that we couldn't handle the traffic, and we did. And they said that the security wouldn't work, and it did. And now some of them are saying we can't clean it up, and we will.
Yes, sir. Are you aware that parts of the wall has been torn down now?
I think the exterior wall just makes an amazing souvenir, and people just couldn't resist it. They were breaking it up into small pieces, I guess, just to have a piece of Woodstock.
I'd like to, at this point in time, Michael, to extend to come back to our area again. We'd be more than happy to host you. And
would you want to do this again?
I'm not sure, unless there was a way that we felt completely confident that the controls were in place to prevent something like this.
And they tried doing a Woodstock on 2019, but it just didn't happen for whatever reason. I'm so glad it didn't happen. Either way, apart from all the horrible stuff, which is the majority of the stuff that happened, Woodstock is an amazing example of human nature, but also on music. And even though the conditions were disgusting and everything was a mess, who from the current metal audience, people who hadn't even been born in '99 or were too young to appreciate it, who would miss out on the chance to go to Woodstock 99? Because even though I get grossed out super easily with disgusting stuff, I would really have liked being there. If I had the chance right now to have been there, I would have done it. Because it's the bands that were playing there. It's amazing. The set list, even though it was not what they expected, was truly amazing. It was Korn, Limp Bizkit, Metallica, Insane Clown Posse, Red Hot Chili Peppers, whatever. So many amazing bands. Alanis Morissette was there. Sheryl Crow was there. You don't see that kind of stuff anymore. With bands that are so known. Of course, there are still festivals, but it's just not the same. What I wish and what I hope for is that eventually we do reach that time in music again, where music is again highly regarded, and heavy music at that. Of course, not extremely heavy. We're not talking, this is not grindcore and shit, but they were rock. And now, although it's still popular in its own measure, we often see like pop artists being the most popular ones of them all. And just seeing that and seeing that amount of people so filled with rage, following their impulses, inside it no security and just deprivation. To me, in my brain, it seems like a lawless kind of like Silk Road place, like it just completely off the rails. And seeing that for anyone who was there is completely and undeniably a life-changing experience. This was CORNEA-SAL explaining to you and telling you some stuff that I found about Woodstock 99, and I'm really excited to see what you think. I feel like this is a topic that can be heavily discussed, and it hasn't been discussed enough, actually. There's so much misinformation. And tell me about if you would have went knowing all of this was going to happen. Would you have went? Why? Why not? Is it interesting enough for you to want to spend 3 days in complete misery and agony. I hope to see your comments, and I'll see you.